to The Collective, a Shine a Light TV podcast.
Hello friends and kababayan, this is Pete, and today I'm very honored to have Angel. Angel is a licensed marriage and family therapist with roots from Kamiling Tarlac and Jones, Isabela. She is a known traveler of the world, so lately she's been getting into social community volunteering, so we're very proud of that. So Angel, welcome to The Collective.
Thank you so much, Pete.
Great. So first question I ask everyone is, what's your favorite Filipino food?
I love myself some dinuguan.
Can you explain to people what dinuguan is?
Yes, it's the meat is usually pork, and it is made of the sauce is made of pork's blood.
Okay, so where is your favorite dinuguan from?
Oh, well, I'm Ilocano, so it's got to be from Ilocosur.
So like home cooking.
Home cooking.
Okay, so that's a good answer, because sometimes people will say like Pinoy Pinay, but then they forget that their mom's cooking is the one that they should be saying. So
Yes.
good job there. Secondarily, since you're a world traveler, where do you like traveling to? Like, what's your...
Morocco is one of my favorite places to travel to. I do like the Southeast Asian countries, so Vietnam, Thailand. I've been back to my home country, the Philippines, a few times.
Great, and do you like the food there too?
I love the food there.
Good. That's good to hear. All right, so I know that you immigrated here to America. And so when you immigrated, how old were you?
I was 5.
And how was, if you can remember, how was that feeling like?
I could remember being confused. I have memories of being at the airport with my mom and having my maternal grandmother and some relatives saying farewell and crying, telling me to be good.
Because I've known you for a while, I'm quite surprised that you still speak Tagalog. So how were you able to keep that up?
Well, I spoke Ilocano and Tagalog were my first 2 languages, and it really helped to have my parents and my relatives speak to me in both. I understand Ilocano, I can't say a lot of the words, but I am still fluent in Tagalog. And I remember my dad actually telling me when I came home speaking only in English, telling me to not ever be ashamed of being able to speak Tagalog or be ashamed of where I come from.
The main question today is for, especially for us, I guess, we're known as Philam. I mean, are you aware of that term?
I am.
Philam is usually reserved for those born in the States, I believe. Is that right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so since we were told to never forget our roots, one thing that I've always wanted to know, and a lot of people want to know, is why is it so hard to communicate with our parents here in America?
So I think that's a really intriguing question, because a lot of Filipinos who are born and raised here, or those who immigrate here at a young age and raised in America, have said very similar things about their parents don't understand them, and their parents feel like their parents are quote-unquote old school.
Right.
And that they just don't get that we are quote-unquote living in America. This is not the Philippines, is a common phrase I've heard.
That's very triggering words, because I know some of my siblings and cousins use that as a reason to not know our culture. Mm-hmm. And so do you feel like our ancestors, not really our ancestors, but our parents and grandparents, do you feel like they get upset about that?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's hurtful, and it's also confusing for them. And I think we have to, the younger generations, I think is important for us to understand that the older generations, the ones who have immigrated from the Philippines, are coming here with their sets of beliefs, traditions, and rituals. And that is what they know. So when they're living here and making life for themselves, and they're settled, and they want to pass on some of these cultural rituals, customs, and beliefs, it's not because they don't understand the American culture.
Right.
It's more that this is something that they, in many ways, have taken with them, and it's a passing on. I think of it as they are what we inherit. a lot of immigrants don't come here with very much possessions.
That's very true.
They don't come here with a lot of wealth. What they do have is their language. They have their name. They have the customs that they remember, also inheriting from older generations. And their worldview is centered around what is the norm and what is common in the Philippines. However, that cultural clash of raising children or having children who have assimilated to the American culture makes it really hard, I think, for both generations to try to communicate in a way where there's mutual respect and understanding, as opposed to you have to choose one or the other.
Yeah, those are very good thoughts. Now, I know I feel this way, where I feel like I don't mesh well with my like American-born relatives because they look at me a certain kind of way, or they might not try to understand where I'm coming from. Have you ever felt that way too?
Absolutely. I grew up in a family where for a long time the cousins I spent time with didn't speak Tagalog or didn't understand. And I had relatives speak to me in Ilocano, so they would tell me, "Oh, you have to translate for us."
Yeah, that same here, right? Yeah. So I know this is. I know for Filipinos we feel this way, and I'm sure a lot of other Asians feel this way as well. Where we're in this loop where we're not Filipino enough, and then we're not American enough. But I mean, I enjoy being who I am. Yourself? Mm-hmm. I think it's the best of both worlds. How do you feel about that?
I actually consider myself a Filipina immigrant.
Oh, okay.
And I have had many friends and acquaintances and colleagues who assume that I am American or Filipino American or Filam. And so when I tell them I'm Filipina immigrant, and I'm very specific about Filipina first, they're very surprised because what some of them have told me is, "Oh, but you don't have an accent."
Right, I get that too.
And you don't have to have an accent in order to identify a certain way. And that's the beauty about our identity is we get to choose how we identify.
Right. So speaking of the culture of communications, what would you suggest, or do you have anything to say about having a better communication with our ethnic parents, grandparents?
For our generation, is that what you mean?
Yes. Like, how can we better communicate with them?
I think it would be helpful for us if they say something to us that we don't like or we don't quite understand, to ask, where is this coming from? What's the motivation for asking the question? Bakit tinatanong mo po ninyo sa akin yung ganyan? Mm-hmm. And I think that the older generations, our parents and our titos and titas, are not necessarily going to ask us, "Oh, why are you asking this question of me?" And until we try to understand the reasoning behind the question, I think it's easy for us to then go into this assumption, this judgment, "Oh, they're just trying to criticize me," or "They're just telling me what to do."
Yeah, I agree with you there. I know that some of our titos and titas, they don't like to communicate. They just want to tell us what to do instead of trying to kind of communicate to us why they want us to do it. And so it is, even though the times have changed, I believe that our culture can still grow strong even here in America. Mm-hmm. Right. And do you believe that being palo is part of that?
I think some kids deserve strict discipline.
So palo is spanking. So do you prefer the belt or the slipper?
I got both.
You got both.
I don't have a preference. It's very humbling, though.
Yeah,
I've experienced both.
Well, I think it worked out because you're very successful. So happy to have you here and explain a lot of what the culture miscommunication is. So thank you so much for being part of the collective, Angel. And if any of you want to be part of the collective, please go to the website, itsonsalt.com. Remember to like, subscribe, and do all those nice things on YouTube. And also, if you're watching on a broadcast, salamat, maraming salamat. So this is Pete and Angel. Remember that we are all part of the collective.